Lauren Sisler, WIAT 42. How confident are you in your injury being 100% and going full board when you get back on the field in the fall?
I'm extremely confident. I've been running and everything so far right now, so I'm be 100% by camp and ready for a good season.
Joe Allen, WBMA in Birmingham. Jonathan, there's such high expectations around this program entering this season. How do you guys block out all that noise and just focus on 12 games?
One of the reasons people come to Auburn is for the expectations. We win the SEC, we're always one of the top teams, but like you said, you have to block that out and focus on one game at a time, and I think we're going to be able to do that.
Hey, Jonathan, Steve Nissen, WEAR Pensacola. A lot of excitement about Coach Muschamp coming over as defensive coordinator. What has he brought to the table so far? What kind of impact do you feel like he's going to have?
He's intense. He has high standards. He doesn't waver from his standards, and I think that's really going to help. He's blunt, and he lets guys know where they are and where they stand, and I think that's going to help our team.
Hey, Jacques Vise, WAFB-TV in Baton Rouge. Looking back on last year's LSU game, do you feel like going up against a young quarterback, you guys kind of had him confused, rattled, and what do you think about going to Baton Rouge this year coming up?
I think last year as a freshman, it was kind of difficult for him to come in, into our stadium and exceed. But I'm looking forward to this year, going down there and playing and coming out with a victory. I don't think we've won down there in a long time, so definitely looking forward to going down there and coming out with a victory.
Jonathan, Chris Frost said that it's been exciting to work against Jeremy Johnson in practice, but at times, from a defensive standpoint, it's also been a little bit frustrating. Can you speak about what you've seen from Jeremy in practice so far?
I would agree. It's been a little frustrating because he is good. He's able to make throws that a lot of quarterbacks aren't able to make in this league. But it's getting us better, and I think it's going to show on game day. Facing other quarterbacks, the game's going to be a lot easier for us.
Jonathan, Steve Schneider, WAFB in Baton Rouge. Coach Muschamp, having been a head coach and now going back to more hands-on, have you noticed, has he said anything about that and perhaps how it's changed his perspective with football? And what about his scheming, the way he's constantly trying to disguise defenses, coverages, blitzes, and that sort of thing?
I think he enjoys the more hands-on approach, honestly. But as far as his scheme, he's consistent. He's gonna bring pressure when it's time to bring pressure, but he wants to be able to win, in 4 down, without having to bring pressure. And if you can do that in this league, it makes it tough for people to beat you.
Jonathan, Jeff Shear, WSFA Montgomery. How hard is it to play your position when your team does not have a sufficient pass rush? How much does it help when you do?
It's extremely hard. Losing a guy like Carl Lawson, rushing the quarterback, is really hard. It makes my job harder. Quarterbacks have a lot of time to sit back there and wait for receivers to get open. It makes our job hard, but we're getting called back this year, and like I said, it'll definitely improve and make my job a lot easier.
Ben Bolton, WAKA Montgomery. What kind of growth have you seen out of Trey Matthews this offseason?
He's grown as a player on and off the field. On the field, you can see that he pays more attention to film. He puts a lot more time, into the game. And you can see that it shows results on the field. If you look at A-Day game, the plays that he made, they're a result of his hard work. And he's been working hard since he's got here. And like I said, off the field, too, he's grown as a person.
Dane Young, WRBL, Columbus, Georgia. We got Chris to give us a good impression of an angry face that Coach that Muschamp might make. What's your impression of his angry face?
I really couldn't give you a good impression, but I could tell you that it's not a good face, and you don't want to make him mad. That's one thing you don't want to do is make him mad.
Jonathan, with Coach Muschamp's arrival, the expectations for this defense are much higher than they have been. How much pressure do you guys put on yourselves to make those expectations a reality?
A lot of pressure. You can look at the stats and see we weren't that good on defense. And, you know, as players, we hear it, so we have to put a chip on our shoulder and get better and improve and help this team win games.
Jeremy said that Duke Williams might be the best receiver in the country. Why would he say that? What do you see in the guy?
He's a great receiver simply for the fact he's big, but he's also faster than most people think. He understands, you know, how to run routes. A lot of guys in this league don't understand, you know, how to run routes. And he's good at setting up cornerbacks. He can overpower you, or, you know, or he can make you miss.
Who are some of your toughest matchups last season on the field, individually?
Treadwell, I mean, he's a good receiver. He's physical, and obviously, you know, Amari Cooper. You know, he's probably one of the best, you know, receivers in this league. Has seen, you know, probably since AJ Green. So, you know, we have a lot of great receivers in this league.
Lauren Sisler, WIAT 42. You guys have one of the toughest schedules in the league, but coming out of the gates, especially in September, do you like playing those tough schedules, kind of getting those out of the way and sort of shaking all the rust off early on?
I guess it's fun to see where you are. Playing a lot of the easier games earlier doesn't really help you as a team. When you have a high test like Louisville, it's going to let us know early, you know, where we stand as a team.
Jonathan, Jeff Shear again. Everybody knows about Duke and Ricardo. Based on covering the other guys in practice, who are some candidates for a breakout and why?
Marcus Davis. He's a smaller guy, but his effort, and he has great hands, and he knows how to run routes. So Marcus Davis, like I said, he's a really, really good receiver.
What separates Treadwell amongst all the other receivers in the league?
He's the most physical as far as blocking, not even just running routes or anything. He's probably the best blocking receiver in the league. And when you find a receiver who doesn't mind blocking, you know that they're physical. So they're able to get cornerbacks off of them on the line of scrimmage and things like that. At the top of the route, he's able to, you know, fight through contact and still make the catch.
Hey, Jonathan, the way last season ended, losing 4 of the last 5, how did that affect the team, affect the off-season mentality?
I think we just lost confidence. Just like I said, looking back on last season towards the end. But we took the mentality of that's not our standards. We didn't meet our standards. So we got a chip on our shoulder and to get better, and we have a lot to prove because we know we didn't play to our full potential.
Chase Horn, WH&T, Huntsville. You know, as intense as you Will Muschamp and Gus Malzahn are as coaches, what's that interaction between those two guys like? I mean, is there any goofing around or any jokes in there? Is that just all serious, all football all the time?
I don't know. Coach Muschamp, he's off the field, he's a great guy. I mean, you can talk to him about anything. That he'll throw some jokes around. And Coach Malzahn, I mean, I've had talks with him about, you know, a lot of things outside of football. So it's definitely not always football with them.
Hey, Jonathan, Brian Scheibel, Family Act. We know you're on at least 2 watch lists right now, Thorpe and the Grossky Awards. You know, how does personal awards factor into sort of your motivation as well, along with the team goals?
Honestly, you don't really worry about, you know, personal accolades because those come at the end of the season. If you don't play well, you know, during the season, you know, no one's going to talk about you at the end. So right now, you just focus on, you know, being the best player you can be, and when that time comes in the end of the season, hopefully you've done good enough.
Throughout in your career, would you say that Treadwell is one of the best receivers you've gone up against?
He'd be in the top 5 of the best receivers.
Who's your top 5?
I go Amari Cooper, Moncrief, he's at Ole Miss, not in any particular order, of course, but Treadwell, Duke, you know, my own receiver, and Sammy.
Stephen Gunner, WSFA Montgomery. Jonathan, I know Muschamp's putting his staple on it. He has full roam with that defense. How much input does Coach Malzahn still have, and what do you pick up from Gus when he does talk defense?
I think Coach Malzahn trusts Coach Muschamp to get the job done. He really doesn't, you know, say too much about the defense because, like I said, he puts that in the hands of Coach Muschamp. But I'm sure, like, they get together, and the way the game is moving toward this faster pace, who better to talk to than Coach Malzahn, you know, is helping you with your defense. So I definitely think they probably pick each other's brain.
Jonathan, Al Ratcliffe, WIAT. Over the last couple of years, the defensive backfield for Auburn has been one of the weakest points. Who has really stepped it up this year in spring and looking forward to in fall practice to really bring things up?
A lot of guys. We don't have that much depth, but we do have, some good players. We have like Trey Matthews, Rudy Ford, Josh Hosley, and Blake just transferred in. So, like I said, we do have some guys that have experience, but also we're going to depend on some younger guys, to step in when we need them.
Hi, Chris Buckner with Fan React and Reddit College Football. So, as time has gone on here in college football, we've started to notice a drop in football attendance. But in the SEC, it seems like things do seem to be getting stronger and stronger as teams build expansions and that kind of deal. In your opinion, what is one of those venues that actually does play a role in kind of intimidating the team as Auburn comes in, especially a team that's so strong like you guys?
Every venue in the SEC is a great atmosphere. Each stadium has their own rituals. I mean, Mississippi State has the cowbells, and if you play down there, I mean, you'll hear cowbells for 3 days, once you leave. But each stadium is great. Tennessee, we played at Tennessee, they're loud. Georgia, Bama, I mean, the SEC is just a great atmosphere.
What are your expectations this season with Treadwell when you go up against him coming off that terrible injury?
He's going to be back. He's going to be a great player. But as with any receiver, I don't want him to catch a ball. I mean, whoever I face, I mean, every week, that's my goal.
Speaking on great atmospheres to play in, how much do you think the video board is going to enhance the atmosphere there at Jordan-Hare Stadium?
It's going to be great. Fans are going to love it. It's huge. I mean, if you can't miss it. It's the first thing you see when you get on campus, and it's going to create a better atmosphere, and we already have a great one.
Matt McAllister, WEAR TV, Pensacola. We talked about the defense and some of the things that Coach Malzahn is coming in to do right now. But physically, what are some of the changes that you guys are going to present on the field to bring your defense this coming season?
Effort and physical are individual. You have to look in the mirror and bring that yourself. That's something people can't judge. But he's going to have an expectation, and you have to meet that or you won't play. And I think you'll be able to see that this year as far as people flying around to the football and bringing their hat on the football.
John, Mo Carter from Alabama News Network in Montgomery. Talk about what Blake Counters will bring to the table with him being a transfer from Michigan and having a lot of experience coming to your defensive backfield.
Like I said, first of all, depth. We don't have a lot of guys from transfer and injuries. We don't have a lot of guys, and he has that experience. Other than playing a freshman, you have a guy that's played before, and you can just easily stick him in, whether it be at corner or at nickel.
Jen Chapman, WVUA in Tuscaloosa. What can you say about how your team is already responding to the new motto of "Count on Me"?
Our motto is a great one because you have to count on me. Trust is a big factor in football. That's why it's a great sport. You have to be able to count on your teammates, on and off the field. You have to be able to rely on guys to do their job so you can get your job done, and you have to be able to trust in the coaches, and the coaches have to be able to trust you.
Any more questions?